This conference will now be recorded.
Thank you. Okay, so we want to do a roll call check and see who is here. And if you can just introduce yourself very shortly and let us know what you are excited to do on this committee. So first, we want to thank our funder, Carol McGowan from the CDC. Is she on the call? Okay.
Sorry,
Carol, your line might be muted, but I know Carol is on.
I am. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. What am I? I'm excited to see what's coming out of this committee because you all always have such incredible ideas.
Thank you. Mona Lisa Hamlin. Kinney, do you know if she's on?
Yeah, I don't think Mona's here. I can see the attendee list over here, so Mona's not on.
Okay.
We'll wait for a couple seconds after each name, and if they're not on. Yeah,
Okay.
Mona had a conflict today. Camille writes in the chat
Emily
box.
Taylor.
Hello, everybody. I'm here. Happy to be here with all of you today as chair-elect of USVC, and I'll be floating in and out as needed as Andrea Serrano has now been named board liaison, but that just happened last week, so she'll be starting probably next meeting. I'm glad to be here with all of you today in co-creating this incredible conference. It just gets better and better every year.
Thank you, Emily. Andrea Serrano, she's not on the call today, but she's on the next on the list. Grace Yee.
This is Grace Yee. I am from California Breastfeeding Coalition, and I've been on the CPC since 2017, and I really appreciate the opportunity to work with an incredible committee and the coalition.
Thank you, Grace. Lindsay Wilkes.
Lindsay was moving. She's in the process of moving homes, and so I will be catching her up with the meeting highlights, but she couldn't be here today.
Okay.
And
Liz
also
Chang.
Liz too.
Okay.
Liz too.
Okay. Is Malia on?
Good morning. I hope everyone is well this morning. I'm Malia Luarki from New Mexico. I'm part of the Indigenous Women Rising. And I'm excited just to see this conference come to light. I've never been to a part of anything like this, so I'm excited to see how it all comes about.
Thank you. Welcome, Malia. Okay, Stephanie Rodriguez Moser. Tamika Harris.
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can.
Hi, everyone. Tamika Harris with Breastfeeding USA and the DC Breastfeeding Coalition. I am excited to work with all of you. And as I was talking to Amelia last week, I noticed that I was going through some old USBC paperwork, and I noticed that we did a lot of equity work in 2017 and 2018. I'm excited to expand on that and maybe dig even deeper in 2019.
Great. Thanks, Tamika. Tiana Piles.
I am here. Good morning, everyone. Excited to be a part of this process. The convenings are always beautiful and wonderful and so well thought out. And so I am hoping that I can bring some type of merit to this committee.
Thank you, Tiana. Okay, you want to go to the next slide, Kinney?
Sure. And Stephanie, we have members of the staff team too. So if any
okay.
of the staff want to, introduce yourselves? Alyssa, do you want to start first? We'll go alphabetically.
Sure. Hi, guys. This is Alyssa Spees, the Constellation Program Manager, and I helped do a little bit of support with the conference last year. And so this last conference was my first one, and so I'm just excited to see what you guys, work on this year to make it even better. So I'm just sort of here to offer support as it's needed, and I'm excited to see you all.
Thank you.
I think I'm next. This is Camille Abbey. I am the Events and Public Relations Manager here at USBC, and I have been working on the conference since, I guess it's been 2014. My role is a lot about logistics. So if you're thinking like, where do I go and who do I talk to, and the hotel and the audiovisual and planes and trains and automobiles, getting folks there, all that kind of stuff, that falls into my purview, as well as a lot of the communications about the conference, and working with this awesome team here at USBC and all of you. This is very exciting.
Great. Is Amelia on?
She is not able to join today.
Okay. All right, great. This is Kinney, and I'm the Coalition Relations Director at USBC. And again, I cannot, this is one of the best part of my jobs, planning this event. And we've gotten, better and better every year, thanks to our phenomenal CPC. So we know that you all have other places to be, other important work to do, and we can't thank you enough for the service you give and the time and effort and your wisdom and insights that you so generously give to this committee. So thank you on behalf of the entire USBC staff team. Miriam, are you next?
Hi, everyone. My name is Miriam Rodriguez. I'm the Coalition Relations Coordinator. I'm really excited to get a chance to get some insight on how the conference is planned. I did attend for the first time this year, 2018. Excuse me. So I'm really excited to keep everything going.
Wonderful.
And Stephanie Moser said that she will be, she just emailed me, she should be logging on soon.
Okay, can I have a volunteer to read our community norms? Not everyone at once.
Emily, why don't I take the first three?
Okay.
Okay. Everyone participates. Step up, step back, participate fully and evenly. Listen well for deep understanding and respect. Someone ready to take the next?
I can do the next three.
Great.
Be fully present and open to new learning. Speak your discomforts. Place tech on silent and stay checked in.
Anybody want to do the last few? Okay.
I will. Share using I statements. Share responsibility for the success of each meeting.
Great. Okay, our desired outcomes. We wanted to give clarity about the roles of the CPC, an understanding of the planning timeline and our event calendar, and we really want to finalize the MBCC theme for this year during this call.
Great. Thank you, Stephanie. And this is Kinney. I'll go very briefly. At our last meeting, we had our new members, so we did a little bit of an orientation and talked about the role of the conference program committee. But since we have most of the members today, I'll do a very, very quick overview. So as you know, some of you are on your second conference working on this the second year of your term, and some of you are just joining in, but I wanted to let you all remind everyone that the CPC is one of the key USPC committees, which means you are the host committee along with the USPC board and staff team. So we have our equity committee, CRASH, and CPC are the two host committees. This is such a key leadership position, and we thank you for your time, and we also a big part of when you all read the community norms is we are coming from the premise that it's not just what we do in designing the conference, but how we work is also as important. So the norms really lay the groundwork for how we will be working. We are hoping to really build a rich culture here among ourselves where everybody gets a chance to speak about the design of the conference. It's democratic, the process, the decision-making process is democratic, and that we hold each other to very high standards of accountability. This is a committee that has to roll up its sleeve and work hard. It's a working committee, and we understand that, schedule conflicts happen. So we're so grateful to you all for writing to me and Miriam and letting us know you'll be attending or not. And we do connect back with each one of you after the meeting to share highlights if you've missed it and to know how you can keep engaged. So main things are, finalizing the theme, selecting our plenary keynote speakers, and then also the design of the conference. Do we have full group sessions? Do we have breakouts? If so, what should be some of the learning arcs? So these are really key decision points that you will be making. In addition to that, there are on-site leadership roles that CPC folks have. As hosts, you will also be moderating sessions, facilitating side events such as introducing our speakers, facilitating the networking meetings we have, the open mic, the award ceremonies, and also the regional networking calls. So we do have training. We will be scheduling facilitator trainings in April, May, so that you all feel, comfortable, clear about things, and ready, so we can meet your needs with that. So the dates, as you know, we've moved from August to June. It's going to be in Bethesda, Maryland on the 14th and 15th of June. We usually have our conferences on Saturday and Sunday, but this time Sunday, June 16th is Father's Day. So we will be having the conference on Friday and Saturday, June 14th and 15th. Very well located. It's literally sitting on top of a metro station, so good connection from both the national airport and for when we do have Advocacy Day for taking the metro to Washington, D.C. as well. Any questions about either the CPC rules?
And Kinney, I have a question, Tamika.
Yeah. Yes, please.
I noticed that you mentioned that the venue is by a metro stop. Does that mean that we will not have the option to take a bus for the Advocacy Day?
This time we are thinking that, in the past we've taken a bus because we've gone on a separate time. It hasn't been easy on the metro, but most importantly, it's been on the day after the conference. So people have needed their luggage to be there. Most people leave for the airports immediately after the Advocacy Day. I'm going to invite Camille to add anything more, but as you'll see from our calendar, we are actually planning to do the Advocacy Day before the conference this time. So we were thinking that for the Advocacy Day, we'll do a caravan, but in a metro. We'll be all going and planning with traveling by the metro to the Capitol.
That's great. Thank you. So since we're not reserving a bus, will we be able to reallocate those funds to a conference need?
Exactly. As when we will be talking budget, thank you, Tamika. Our budget is, really lean for this conference, including for speaker. Um, so we've really been looking at how might we um, provide the same kind of support and assistance for Advocacy Day and all of our trainings, but try to cut down. So the bus, the funds for that will definitely be used for someplace else. If it
Okay,
means
great. Thank you.
getting another person to the conference or towards our AV or speaker fees.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Any other questions? Camille, was there anything else relevant that needed to be added about the venue?
Oh, I mean, I could go on, but I just know that we want to talk about the theme. So I think maybe I'll leave it for questions. If folks have anything specific about questions, but yeah, it's accessible on the Metro from Reagan, also via other modes of transport from either Dulles or BWI. So we do have the 3 different airport options, which can be sometimes really helpful depending where folks are flying in from. And yes, Wednesday is designed as a shorter day with the intention that some folks might want to come to Advocacy Day and then actually be free in DC to do an evening in DC before we dip into the membership meeting on Thursday, and then the conference itself Friday and Saturday until about 3. So we're really being pretty intentional about making the days more manageable while still making them really packed and a lot of networking opportunities, because we know that when you do this for day after day, we all get a little tapped out, and we really want to acknowledge and respond to that. So that is part of it. Is a challenge with only a certain number of hours in the day, but I think we're gonna have some great success in making an event that feels really good. So but yes, happy to answer any questions. I don't know, can't think of anything specifically.
Thanks, Camille. Yes, and we actually did hear the feedback from the conference attendees who said the days are so packed and that they get home on Sunday evening and then they've got to hit the ground running on Monday. So also because we did not want to schedule anything on Father's Day, giving an opportunity for folks to either bring fathers, spouses, partners to DC if they wanted to, but if not, also to be able to get home. Our conference and membership meeting is designed a little differently this time. As you all probably will know in a new email announcement that's coming out, our membership engagement committee has been very hard at work coming up with guidelines for enrollment of coalitions. So we will be doing some very, very active outreach, engagement, and enrollment of community-based organization, cultural, local, state coalitions during the spring months. And so we hope that this time for the membership meeting, all-day membership meeting, we will have our coalitions joining us as well. So we think of Thursday as the membership meeting and Friday and Saturday as the conference days. By having the Advocacy Day early, we want to that's a day when there's a lot of relationship building and community building that happens, and we also want to be able to see if we could, after the morning appointment sessions are done for our awardees have said that they would love to go to the African American Museum or the Native American Heritage Museum. So we want to make sure that that evening is free and we can arrange some other kinds of opportunities for folks who come to DC as well. So we will be exploring that. So those are our overall days. Our NBCC planning calendar, I'm going to zip through this because we do need to get to the brainstorm of the theme. But for December, basically our plan is finalize our theme, launch the call for pre-presentation proposals. This year, we are going to be providing continuing education units, so we are very thrilled about that. I just heard back from the CDC's branch for training and education, and they said yes, our conference would be eligible for that. The CDC, we have an arrangement with CDC to provide some of this education units, so that's fabulous. And then there is going to be a webinar, and we'll speak more about that later. But on this or next week, to discuss, kind of promote, discuss the NBCC and share the theme and save the date. So then January is when we finalize plenaries, review the side events, promote exhibitor. February, we really are by then finessing and finalizing the program design. Also by February, the subcommittees, that is the proposal review and the awards review, application review committees are meeting. March, we have all the announcements that sent out to folks. By the end of February, the accepted proposals, accepted award are sent out. April, we are finalizing program design. We are doing trainings for our own moderator, facilitator trainings, April and May. So that's our planning calendar for this committee. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Stephanie again to brainstorm, to facilitate this session for our theme.
Okay, so we had 2 surveys, and the top 2, centering relationships, creating inclusive breastfeeding support for all families, and taking equity and inclusion from theory to practice, building collaborative movements to eliminate disparities in breastfeeding. Those were our top 2 choices, but we also have some other ones that I think we should read through and then discuss. So we have building a leaderful first food movement, changing the odds or turning the tide, transforming maternal and child health, and sharing tools for transformation. And then taking a stance for equity, leadership that contributes to racial justice, wisdom from the field for the field, and then some theme words, celebrating, sharing, learning, connecting, inspire, galvanize, spark, kindle, infuse, electrify, tidal wave, strengthen, promote, foster, generate, elevate, embolden, and encourage. If we can just take a couple minutes just to think about these themes and words and discuss what we think would be best for the theme this year.
Thanks, Stephanie. And so some of these later, the top 2 bullets were the ones that we had initially come up with at the first meeting. And then these were some of the suggestions that you put in. We had an open-ended box as well. So building a leader pool was also one of the suggestions that came up at the CPC. And then staff also had some suggestions. So these are the permutation combinations that we can use. So we'll see what resonates with you. But these were some taglines and theme ideas that cropped up through your suggestions, open-ended suggestions as well.
Okay, and we can open it up for thoughts, ideas, and some brainstorming now. So if anybody has any opinions or any new ideas, just shout them out.
Good morning. This is Tiana. I was trying to go back and forth between our number one and our number two, and they're both great starting points. I tend to lean toward number two a little bit more than number one, simply because as we are still trying to make things equitable for all families, the equity piece seems to just ring closer to the work that we are trying to, where we're trying to go. But I just, I was, trying to think this through, and I said, well, let me share my thoughts. And so I was kind of leaning more towards the taking equity and inclusion from theory to practice, which I think also could include some of the other ideas as well, including the centering relationships.
Yes. Yeah, in the past we've had, that the main theme, like something colon and something, and we've also had a tagline. So we have some opportunity to play with these and add a few more things, like, from the other bullets as well. So we are hearing that having equity and inclusion in the theme is important. How do others feel?
I agree with Tiana because the second topic actually it addressed inclusion there. And I have a thought if we choose number one, I love to use another word in place of creating. Inclusive support is there, but it needs to be emboldened or promoted or elevated.
Okay. I'm making notes.
Thank you.
Emboldened, elevated.
I like the word elevated.
Yeah.
Elevating inclusive breastfeeding support.
Yeah.
I do like that. I also agree with Tiana, though.
I agree with Grace and Tiana. I think there's something in the first one, but I really am taking interest in the second one.
Yeah, the second one is really inclusive of creating inclusive breastfeeding support, and it addresses equity and inclusion.
So maybe we could say taking equity from theory to practice, elevating inclusion, so taking equity and inclusion from theory to practice, or should we say taking equity from theory to practice, elevating, inclusive movements, breastfeeding movements are inclusive.
Yeah.
Okay,
I like that. Elevating inclusive movements.
Let me see if I can write it on the screen as we are doing this.
This is Carol. I'm still struggling with going from, I really like taking equity and inclusion from theory to practice, because I think we've been building up a lot of capacity and expertise and education and trying to bring everybody along. And I think we just have to knuckle down and really put it into practice. But I'm struggling with tying that specifically to elevating breastfeeding support. Help me out there. I need some help, because it feels like a jump.
Let me write it and see how that sounds.
Similarly, Carol, I think at some point it starts to feel like we have 4 themes at the same thing, which right? And taking equity from theory to practice is beautiful, and I love that. And I liked the inclusion actually as part of it. I thought that was nice, taking equity and inclusion from theory to practice, because I mean, inclusion is a part of equity, but I think spelling it out is also great. And then the portion that Kinney is working on, but the collaborative movements eliminating disparities also is speaks to what we do as a collaborative and a collective. So I think that also plays well. I mean, on a visual graphic, we might only use the first portion of this, like some of the other, we have to go in other places. So I would just want to also lift up for the group that, like, let's remember, like, we don't have to put it all there. We could use some great bits of this that we love for a panel discussion or things like that, where it's still a strong emphasis, but it may not be like our banner graphic, just because frankly it might not fit. But I love it.
That's true.
Maybe the part that's I'm having a hard time swinging with too, and thank you for sharing that, is that we're talking about putting it in practice, and then we talk about elevating, and elevating sounds less concrete. In principle, that's what we want to do. We want to elevate all of our mothers and all of our families. But if we're putting something into practice, we almost need a word that translates what we mean by that. And maybe that co-creating, or maybe, I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say, but.
Yeah, I know. I hear you.
Does the word fostering get there, or sort of get there? I mean, elevating, it's sort of fostering. I mean, no, it's not that exactly, but I need to get the thesaurus.
I think also fostering has some cultural and social.
Yeah, exactly.
Implications that may be triggering.
And I think it gets to more concrete. What are we actually doing?
Yeah, like action items. Like, what's a verb? Like an action.
Instead of fostering, could it be nurturing?
I was just thinking that exact word.
Yes.
Or growing was the other word I thought of.
What was that word?
Growing.
So should we just take out inclusive, saying elevating, co-creating? It would be like the tagline would be nurturing breastfeeding support, or growing breastfeeding support, co-creating. So does the top thing, the taking equity from theory to practice, building inclusive movements, one of the things that I had kind of like we are seeing with in this next iteration of our work, from moving from the diversity part of equity and the inclusion part of equity, is that we are just seeing a big gap in leadership development, and that you see where state coalitions are waking up to the fact that they are not very diverse, their boards and their leadership teams are not very diverse, and they are bringing in leaders from outside, and they find that these men and women of color are just exciting. They have strong history and practice in equity and have aligned leadership values. But what they're finding is they're not, that there are gaps in managerial areas like fund development, working with boards, working with elected reps, funders, and so what you're finding is that this is not because of lack of ability among people of color. They have all the ability, but traditionally roles, white sisters and brothers have been overrepresented in management positions where these skills are, that muscle is built. Like, how do you speak with funders? How do you do large scale visioning and things? So there's a big leadership gap where you're bringing folks, but they haven't had the opportunity to hone those skills. So I kind of almost feel like that leaderful part also, because this so much of this convening is also kind of capacity building for PSE changes, and to say that we do while we are taking equity, but the next stage is, priming our leaders of color for success, because if they're not getting the opportunities to really flex those leadership muscle, then you just have their voices, but not really in the ways that they deserve to be and they need to be. So somewhere I'm also thinking of, like, when we are talking about inclusive or collaborative building, that movement building, there's some leaderful, that's also part of that ethos. So long rambling, but as we are thinking about the theme, I just want something that we see from the field that I wanted to share with you all.
And Kinney, you could never ramble. It's all beautiful. With that being said, it seems like I don't know, I have this plant in my head where, like, we're taking a seed and the nurturing is going from this growing stage into an elevation. So perhaps, we lead with the taking equity from theory to practice, building inclusive collaborative movements, but then, like, our taglines are these nurturing words, or perhaps the phases in our conference have to do with, like, the elevating, nurturing, and growing, so that we go from this seed into actual plant, a well-sustained plant, if you will. I don't know. That was just some thoughts.
It's a really nice idea. Is it nurturing, championing? Like, those are different phases, right? Nurturing and championing, furthering, encouraging, all of those are, that's an interesting concept. This is Camille, apologies.
So Tiana, are you saying after the taking equity from theory to practice, building inclusive collaborative movements, that the lower tagline just be those words: elevating, nurturing, growing? I like champion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I guess, how do you say that, but I like that.
Yeah, like champion.
Or does that become our after the colon, the words used after that? I'm either or. Of course, we don't want it to be too wordy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good way to, if we use those words, elevating, nurturing, growing, all those words, I think that would also be something that would look good on anything that we were to promote to, that people would want to come, seeing those words over and over again. I feel like it's very encouraging.
Just to throw another idea into this theme for Andrea Serrano was co-chair for a few hot seconds before she got elected to the USBC board. And initially, when we were having conversations about how could we top what we did in 2018, what would the next iteration of our conference look like? And one of the things that, as we had discussed was that for this coming conference, we have really where people can walk out with a work plan or a guide or a blueprint for their states or something, that wherever we have a session, we tie in a lot of planning work, like worksheets and things where people are actually writing down priorities, what their stakeholders are, what it is doing that. So definitely this will be a more hands-on, tools for transformation kind of a conference where we really want to build in some time for that. So just something to keep in mind, that that will be part of our design that we will be discussing in January. So if we want to make that concrete in the tagline somewhere, that might be really more specific and tangible for what this conference is about. I'm monitoring the chat to see the chats coming in. Ooh, do you see Grace's thing? I'm going to see if I can put this in a new slide here.
Oh, I like that too.
Equitable, inclusive, collaborative. How does that?
Yeah, that would be. Mm-hmm.
So do we agree that somehow the taking that from theory to practice, equity from theory to practice has to be in the theme, right? Is
Yes.
that, are we in agreement with that, everybody?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, because from theory to practice, it already implied that we are creating some sort of blueprint or a practical plan.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so how are we doing for time? We are good. Does this, how does this sound? Equitable, inclusive, collaborative breastfeeding support from theory to practice. Is it resonate, or equity from theory to practice has to be together?
Can you try it with a version similar to what it was before, with the something from theory to practice at the beginning, and then put the equitable, inclusive, and collaborative at the end?
Oh,
Sort of
okay.
like how it was, the second one was written. Yeah, taking equity from zero, and then originally it had something else, I think. But and then just inclusive and collaborative breastfeeding support. Oh, right. That's why we ended up with another verb. That's what you were doing. Keep going, Grace.
Wait, what? I missed that. Tell me more.
We just
It's good to brainstorm upon brainstorming.
Mhm. Co-creating, nurturing, fostering, all of those words, right?
Did we talk about champion?
Championing?
Yeah.
Championing, does that mean co-creating? Let's see which one is more like doing this together.
I guess I'm going to react to co-creating because coalitions and folks around the country have been working on equity and inclusion for a while. Just because we haven't reached it, we're not creating it. We're actually building upon what we had before.
Right.
So if you're going to keep something, keep
I agree.
Yeah.
And that shortens it a little bit. That I agree, and I think taking that out will give it a little bit better balance.
So tell me what would I put in there? Building?
Can it not be championing? I mean, or I think someone also had said something about like lifting up, or what was the word?
Yeah, because it's already there.
Yeah,
We just need to.
Advancing collaborative.
Yeah.
Advancing.
Yeah, I like that. Yep.
I love that.
Yeah, I love that.
Ooh.
I also think advancing is a better terminology there.
Yes.
Advancing, galvanizing advancing is very good. I think we have it.
I really love the word advancing.
Yeah. So what do you all think of this one?
This is Stephanie. I love it.
Yeah.
I love advancing.
Awesome.
I like it also.
What would be the difference in the inclusive part and the collaborative part?
Really, they would mean they are kind of redundant.
I actually see them as
Inclusive
very
is
different.
all.
I think you can be collaborative with some people while not including all people.
That's right.
I think they're really
100%
distinct.
agree.
But does inclusive mean collaborative? Like you can have collaboration without inclusion, but
No, I think you can have everybody at a table and still not be effectively collaborating.
Yes.
so
How many community meetings have we gone to like that? Okay, we're all here.
Yeah.
And I think the collaborative breastfeeding support denotes different layers. So it's collaboration between the stakeholders, but also with communities, with parents, with families. So it's bi-directional. So what do we think? I'm liking this.
I'm liking it too.
I think we found our theme, Kinney.
Do we have, is it imperative that we need to include collaborative?
I think it is. I think they're two separate and important
Yeah, they're two
words.
separate things.
I think they're
distinct.
separate, and also I think as USBC, collaboration is fundamental
Right.
to our mission. Any other organization could talk about inclusivity, but our goal is to really talk about collaboration.
Got it.
And it doesn't sound too wordy either. So taking equity from theory to practice, I think this sums it all. Do we, Stephanie, do we get a vote for, or if anybody is not for it, let us know. But can this be our final?
I love it.
Yeah.
Woohoo, we have it. Thank you. This has been like surveys and all of that. But thank you so much. Can't wait. So,
Congratulations.
congratulations, team. This is great. We turn it over to Miriam for our wrap up next steps.
Yeah, so next steps, if we could go to the next slide. We are going to be hosting a webinar on Tuesday, December 11th from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. It's going to go over everything. I think it's titled the how, when, where, and why of the NBCC in 2019. And we're going to be going over where it is and the change in the dates and everything. So if you all can be present for that, then that would be great. We are also going to be reviewing the draft of the call for proposals, presentation proposals, and reviewing applications for 3 categories of awards. This will all happen via email, so stay tuned for those emails to review and to get those call for presentation proposals out, so we can keep in mind our plenary speakers and our different proposals. We're really excited about the 3 categories of awards: the emerging leader, the tribal trailblazer, and the cultural change maker, name still pending. And so we're including 4 more awardees this year, so that's really exciting. We're going to be working on the application for that, so that we can start reviewing applicants as well. So stay tuned.
Great. Thank you, Miriam. And so we are hoping that we can launch the call for proposals and the applications for these different award categories by as soon as the webinar is done next week. So we have a pretty standard call for presentation proposals, but we've been amping up the equity language and the requirement that every proposal has some focus and on equity and sharing that. So I'll tweak it a little bit to reflect our theme, and then send it to you all to review the draft one so that we are ready for launch. We're so excited. All right, I think we are on time. Miriam, did you want to invite any last thoughts?
Sure. Since we have a second, if we can have everybody choose one of these options and kind of describe whatever it is it says. I can go first. How do I feel? I'm really excited. I feel all of your ideas were great, and I'm so excited to have a theme and how this helps us push everything forward for the conference. So does anybody want to volunteer to go next?
I'll take what stood out is our collaboration. It really stood out.
One thing for action, one thing I will do based on us now coming up with our theme, I now want to, I'll just be thinking between here and there, between using that theme to hone in on what else I may be able to bring to the table.
Wonderful. Anyone else?
This is Stephanie. I would say what stood out to me is just our ability to collaborate and work together and how smart all of us are. So everybody give yourself a pat on the back, because this was an amazing call.
I second that. Thank you.
I think what stood out to me was also, just like everybody else, our collaboration and our ability to just speak our minds, and I'm also excited to see how this all goes.
Thank you. Well, yeah, and you go for it, Camille.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say it's such a gift working with all of you. As I look through your names and I hear your voices, and I'm just feeling so happy for this group. So that is the gift. You.
Yeah, this is Kinney. I'm also so excited about this group. I think just seeing how collaboratively and productively we work today, I know that this is going to be a really rich planning process. The one thing I will do is update the call for proposals to send you, and we hope that once we have the theme and all, you all will be, and we'll give you the little social media blurbs and talking points that you will all actively promote this event as soon as we are ready to do it as well.
Great.
Is that everyone? Is there anyone else who wants to share?
This is Stephanie Rodriguez Moser. I apologize because I can't save the slides right now. I'm just calling in. So I'm not sure what questions we're responding to, but I'm really excited to be working with this group again. It's been a lot of fun the couple of other years that I've done it, and I'm just really excited to be back.
Great to have you be part of this, Stephanie. Well, thanks everyone. And our next meeting will be first Monday, so in January, but look out for emails from us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Looking forward to seeing all of you on December 11th.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Great day, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.